Good evening, everyone. It's time we had a little chat about what's been going on here this last year. Things have been extremely different here, and I'm not really sure how to say it. I've had a year to process this, and it's not any easier. Grade 769 has passed away, and he had been very, very sick, and it was his wish that I not tell anybody at all that he was sick or that he had passed away even for a year after his passing. He had his reasons for this, and I'm not going to go into any huge details because I do want to preserve his memory and his dignity in who he was as a human being, which I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We all have our faults and we all have our demons and we all have our goods and bad sides, and he was like any other human in those things. Like I saw some really dark things from him, and I saw some really, really good things as well. But it's been a really, really rough year. Not having him here to do a lot of different little things. Like, he always was the primary person to do our firewood. He did all of the home repairs. Not that some of them were done properly, but he was the stay-at-home person that made sure that stuff got done. I'm gonna try my best here not to swear for the algorithm, but it's been a really messed up year. So early 2024, he started having some episodes of dizziness, nausea. The nausea started in 2023. Like, he lost a lot of weight, and he just got to the point where he couldn't keep anything down. He was throwing everything up, getting really sick. So early 2024, he just was thinking he really should go to the doctor, because he wasn't a person who went to the doctor much. In his age, he was 68, he only had one prescription, and he was trying to find out natural methods for that prescription, because blood pressure is easily handled through the right diet, medication, and exercise and whatnot. That he did have a medication for that. But other than that, he was extremely healthy until these dizzy spells and nausea was hitting him. But yeah, we went down to the emergency room one day, and they said, "Oh yeah, it's just vertigo. Here, take some pills and you'll be fine." And it just did not sit right with me, and I told him there is no way that what you are experiencing is vertigo. We went down later that evening through ambulance because he had collapsed and could not get up. And the whole time that he was laying on the kitchen floor while we were waiting for the ambulance, he kept saying, "This is it, kiddo. I'm leaving. I'm done. I'm dying." And I'm like, "No, you're not. You just had a fall and you can't get up because of whatever this is. You are too weak." But he was adamant that this was the end. And through his whole week-long stay in the hospital, they did not know what was going on with him. And I was giving them suggestions because I know some of his health background. I know his family's health background. I know him. I knew what he was eating and not eating. And even intuitively, I could feel the general area of what was causing this illness, but they really were not too interested in investigating. They said that he had some sort of infection somewhere. They were picking up in his blood work, but they could not find the source of the infection. And I had suggested dental, because he had problems with his sinuses and he had problems with his ears. And I was suggesting maybe one of his teeth that had broken off that he never cared to go to a dentist about had been causing an infection up in the sinuses, and maybe that's what was making him sick, because it's up in the head. It can cause some problems, but they really did not want to investigate that. They just gave him meds, sent him home, told him he had leukemia. The leukemia that he had was, according to the doctor, not the type of leukemia that is fatal. It was the type of leukemia that people can live a long time with. No cure for it, of course, but it's not the type that's gonna outright kill you, which we were okay for. But his symptoms just kept getting worse and worse, and he was going down to emergency room like twice a week for the ambulance. There was one day they kept sending him home. It's like, we went to the emergency room 5 times that day, and it just made no sense. It was just mind-boggling to me that they just could not figure it out. Not for lack of not having the equipment, but just not caring, right? It just did not feel like any of the nurses really wanted to do anything about this. It took 5 months to get a CT scan and an MRI. And the MRI, even that was not really conclusive. They said that there was lacerations on his liver and a mass in his gallbladder, which the doctors did not want to even discuss, because I was saying, well, what are these things? Can we look further into this? And there was, one of the doctors was calling it a mass, and the other doctor was calling it a massive swelling of the dura at the back of his brainstem. Now, the swelling in that area would cause all of his symptoms, especially the collapsing and the loss of motor skills. But they just did not have an explanation for this. They sent him to hematology. He had some tests done there, and they were saying that, yeah, your leukemia, it's not a serious issue. You're going to get through this. We're just going to be monitoring you because you don't even need medication for leukemia for this because you are fine. But he just was deteriorating really rapidly at that point, and the doctors just really didn't want to investigate what the swelling on the dura was. And the fact that his blood work kept showing that he had an infection in his body, and they just, after a while, didn't even want to give him antibiotics for that. It's just, our medical system is absolutely messed up beyond anything. And when he did pass away, they absolutely refused to do an autopsy on him. And I'd asked. And they said, oh, well, the medical examiner, they're not going to do an autopsy. They would refuse to do the autopsy because he just had his MRI 2 weeks prior, and we found out all the information we needed to find out at that MRI. But the MRI was inconclusive. They showed that there was, according to one doctor, a mass, and another doctor said massive swelling of the dura. It's like, what was that? They weren't even going to allow us to have the closure of knowing exactly what had killed him. And that is just, I'm not going to swear for the algorithm, but you know what I'm saying. It really annoys me. It really angers me that that nurse absolutely refused to allow me to have closure on what killed him. I have my own ideas about what went on in that hospital room that morning. I know that he was also getting very, I'm not sure the right word, but he was getting very tired, very fed up with how he was being treated every time he went down to that hospital. I also know that he and I had some very serious and dark discussions at times about what would happen if he got cancer and he got really sick, and what he would do or want done when it came very close to the end that he had no quality of life. And part of me just wonders if he had made a special request and they went about non-legal channels of getting it done. I can't ever know for sure because they absolutely refused the autopsy. But I can tell you I would not be surprised if he had if he had asked for that. It's been a very hard year without him here, and learning to do all sorts of things on my own. Even though I do still have Big Doggy here, things are not the same. And it's just been absolutely crazy. Because we lost grade 769 last June. And then 3 months later in September, Big Doggy's mother dies unexpectedly. 3 months after his mother dies, we lose his father. So, it's been a rough year. It's been a really rough year. Every 3 months we've been losing somebody. And right now, in June of 2025, we're also dealing with so many missing people in our area. Like, local to us in Nova Scotia, we have 2 missing children. They're also reopening another missing child case from a year or 2 years ago. Or no, he was missing for longer than that. We also have 2 men from within a half an hour's drive of us are also missing persons. Like, unrelated. They went missing a couple of weeks apart, but they're still trying to figure out what's happening there. And the world is just becoming a very dark and scary place. And I'm just sitting here on the rock wall, trying to ground myself with my feet on the stones, and trying to figure out, how do I move on? How do I make myself feel safe and secure, and try to get through how much longer I have here, which I have no idea how long that could be. I mean, I could trip and fall on my way back up to the house, have a car accident, anything like that. It's not that I sit around thinking about different ways to die, it's just you do not know when you're going. And it just seems like a lot of the videos I'm posting right now is just updates on this life form has left us, and this one has left us, and like, everybody is just leaving me. And it is hard. But as grade 769 used to say, we must carry on and get things done. And that is what I'm going to do. So, there, obviously, where he has not wanted me to tell anybody for this long, there's obviously not been any types of funeral services. He was not the type of person who would want that. We didn't have an obituary. He was directly cremated, where they refused the autopsy. We had him cremated the next morning, and I got his cremains back, and I had my sister make a case for his box out of one of his old military uniforms, because he had always said that if he had got sick and he got down to the point where he could fit into his scarlet tunic again, that he would want to be buried in his tunic. And where he's been cremated, he's just dust in a box. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It's just the reality. And so he would never be able to fit into the scarlet tunic. So we washed it in really hot water, and we threw it in the dryer, and we did that a couple times until the wool shrunk significantly, and it didn't take much cutting and fitting to get this on there. So he is on the shelf in the house beside his mother in a box, and he's wearing his scarlet tunic with his regimental buttons. And I think that is exactly how things were supposed to be played out for him. I mean, as somebody who's known him for a very long time. 23, 24 years I had known him. And then I had lived with him for 19 years. I would have lived with him for 20 years this June 16th. And it's just so hard when one of the few people who ever treated you like a human being is no longer with you. So it's going to be rough for a while, I think. Because as I said, I've had a year to process this, and I've rehearsed this conversation thousands of times, like almost every day. I've had to tell you guys this. Because he didn't want me to say anything. Until, like, now. He said, and he was really nasty when he said it, because of associations with other people he knew. He really did love and appreciate his fan base. He really, really did. I mean, there were some of you guys that he had talked to through emails, and I really did want to contact you guys directly, but I cannot get into his email, where he was sick, and it was about 5 or 6 months of not using his email account. It froze. I have all his passwords. I have, like, all of that login information, but because it was so long between logging in, it's bouncing it to a different email that the service doesn't even exist. It was one of his first email accounts when he did his Yahoo, that he used that first one from his internet provider, that email. That company doesn't even exist anymore, so there's no way to get the verification code to get into the Yahoo. Because I can't get into the Yahoo, I can't get into the YouTube. And I don't know what's going to happen to the channel. I can't access it. I have all the passcodes. Like, it was technically my channel too, because I did all of his filming, I did his editing, and I was the one who uploaded it, because he was really technologically challenged in that aspect. So I don't know what's going to happen to the YouTube channel. It's probably just going to sit and be an archive because I can't access it. And from what I have been able to find in Googling it, I can't get access to that channel, because without him actually being alive to transfer it into my name, I really don't think that I can get access and ownership of that channel. Now, where I am like a creative partner, I don't know, because I think some of our early videos I was putting titles and credits on those that do have my name on it and information, but it's like I have so many. Alright, so my battery is sadly dying. As I was saying, like, I've got so many projects on the go. It's just finding the time to sit down and try to get everything transferred over, or try to figure out if I can. It's just, I just don't have the time. It's like, if any of you guys have any suggestions on how I can do that with the channel, please let me know. And I do really want to give my condolences out to everybody who knew him, who talked to him, who learned anything from him. It's just really rough, and I don't do this for any form of sympathy. As I said, it's been a year now, and he wouldn't want anybody to be sad. He'd kick my butt if he knew I even shed a tear for him, but, you know, everything is just what it is, and as he would say, till the next time.